Oh, what an unbelievably devilish and awful emotion indeed. There. Rena, jump scare.
レナか。
大丈夫かなかな
Damn it! I was supposed to do the kana there. Ah, I had my opportunity. I must have been acting weird. Actually, well, at least I could do this.
大丈夫かなかな
Ah, damn it, she's doing like it too fast there. Alright, well, might as well do it like this.
大丈夫かなかな
Kana. There you go. At least I got that. Actually, you know what? Since this is like the year before the present time, maybe we're gonna see the truth here as well. That he got kidnapped. It has to be. That he was taken for research as well, because he was in terminal stage.
具合悪いの保健室で休んだ方がいいんじゃないかな
Kana?
かな
Yeah, there you go. I did it.
ありがとう。大丈夫だよ。僕、そんなにも具合が悪そうだったかい？
うん。さとこちゃんのことで心配事
いや、そういうわけじゃないんだよ。
レナは転校してきたばかりだから頼りないかもしれないけど、話を聞くことはできるからね。きっと聞いてあげるだけでも少しは心が軽くなると思うから。さっき声をかけたらすごく驚いたでしょ。そんなにも考え事をしてるならきっと辛い悩みなんだろうなって思って。はあ。
それは、 なぜか最近誰かにずっと後をつけられているような錯覚がしてね。ひたひたペタペタ。だからそれかと思ってってごめん。僕は一体何を言ってるんだか。
足音ついてくるの？
え？
私、その足音知ってる。
Yeah, she definitely knows. Which still makes me think. I don't think it's necessarily like a belief in Hanyu, which kind of makes you think that it is, because you have an example like Rena and Rika. Let me see what the next piece is. The footsteps, the fourth year. Next is Leave of Absence Notice, piece 31. The piece before this one. Yeah, there you go. But then you have Satoshi, who I don't see him as that much of a believer in Noyashiro. It was never really said anything like that, so it's not necessarily like a belief in Hanyu that makes them hear footsteps, but which kind of brings us back to the idea that the footsteps are like a symptom of the Hinamizawa syndrome, which, you know, with all the talk about the Hinamizawa syndrome in chapter 8 and 7, like in such great detail, why are the footsteps like something that you can hear only in like later stages like this? Like, what is the connection?
いえいえ、届けなんていりません。サトシ君は我がひなみざわファイターズの頼もしい選手なんですからね。席はちゃんと開けてあります。いつでも戻ってきていいんですからね。
わかりません。当分は戻ってこれないと思うので、一度退部にしてもらった方がいいと思いまして。実は僕、アルバイトを始めるんです。それで、あまり野球に出られなくて。
You gotta get your money for the plushie.
アルバイトですか。何か買いたいものでもあるんですか？
はい。もうすぐ、サトコの誕生日なんです。サトコが欲しがっているぬいぐるみがあるので、それをプレゼントしてやりたいと思いまして。
そうですか。サトシ君は本当に妹思いのお兄さんですね。それはきっとサトコちゃんも喜んでくれるでしょう。
喜んでくれると嬉しいです。 そうだ。監督、バットを一本借りていってもいいですか？
バットですか？はて、何に使うんですか？
いえ、野球にはそんなに来れなくなりますけど、でもきっと一人で素振りの練習をするくらいの時間は取れると思うので。
それはいいですね。そういうことならぜひ持って行ってください。素振りをするときは十分周りを確認して危険がないよう注意してからやってくださいね。ご近所迷惑でなければタイヤを吊るしてそれを打つのもいい練習になるでしょう。
You realized it only past the point of no return. I don't know. Like I'm actually having like a hard time thinking right now of the sequence of events for 1982, because it is safe to say that Satoshi killed the aunt. Was it after the death? Well, of course, it is after the death of the aunt that he disappeared. But did days pass? Like after? Or was it that he disappeared immediately? Well, Satoshi definitely disappeared like by the time Satoko's birthday came, so... Alright, next piece is... 16. Aunt Houjou's Berry murder case. Alright, time to see about this. And with that, death of Satoshi's aunt. Aunt Houjou's Berry murder case. Yeah, this is it. And, well, we're back to voice and the narration. Yeah, I guess that was a nice little relaxed read-through of mine. For those of you who do not like that, well, yeah, you gotta take it as is. Or what is the saying? Like, yeah, you don't have much of a choice. That's what I want to say. I wanted to not read for a little bit, and now I'm back to reading. We were prepared to respond quickly this year. That was why we were able to start the investigation immediately by securing the crime scene. Which, I do have to say this, once again, folks, I love reading. I love it very much. But sometimes I do need a break. The victim is the wife of the younger brother of the Houjou couple. So she's an extremely suitable target for the 4th year's curse for Eshiro-sama. She has a horrible reputation among the locals. After the incident, everyone said she deserved to be cursed. I have a general idea of who the culprit must be. It's probably Satoshi Houjou. Okay, this one definitely is Oishi. Let's not make the same mistake as last time. That innocent-looking kid. There's even a motive. The deceased abused his sister relentlessly. So this would be in revenge for that. Also, when he attended the inspection of the crime scene, he was rather frantic, yet also far too composed, as if he was totally unrelated to the incident. My intuition from many years of police work tells me that 8 or 9 times out of 10, someone who acts like that is the perp. I have no concrete proof, but if I question him and shake him up a bit, I have a feeling he'll confess.
これだけ仏をめった打ちにしていれば、星も返り血を少なからず浴びたものと思います。そいつが見つけられれば決め手になりそうですね。
まあよっぽどの間抜けでなけりゃ処分してるでしょうがね。犯行を認めた後に捨てたと称する場所から発見できれば、検察も納得してくれるでしょう。
This was pretty insignificant as a standalone case. A confession from Satoshi Houjou would end it. Everyone except me must believe that. But if I look at it as part of the series of mysterious deaths, it won't be so easy. Either the three families of the village or the Sonozaki family alone is directly involved in this. If they are the ones pulling the strings, they must have instigated Satoshi Houjou into committing this crime. See, like, looking at this, now that we've gone through these fragments, it is like a mix of everything. Like, first was a case of Hinamizawa syndrome at its work, with people so stressed that the manager died because of 6 workers completely stressed out. Then it was Satoko. Then it was truly Takano and the Bound Dogs, like the secret organization / government that I've been spewing for like the first chapters and such, except now I know the true identity. And now it's Satoshi. There was never like one true culprit. Unless they're gonna give it a twist. I wonder. Because if I'm to think about it this way, it is as I said before, the more Satoko gets the cure, the more research information Takano is gonna get. So it could very well be that if Satoko continues to be like stressed out and back to terminal stages because of the aunt, even with the cure and like the medication that she keeps getting, the more she gets stressed, the more the medication will fail, which is a big no-no. That could be a detriment in Takano's research. So what is Takano gonna do? She's gonna get rid of the aunt with the Bound Dogs yet again. And as a bonus, they are gonna, cause like no doubt Satoshi was taken in by the Mount Dogs and Takano and all that. But the murder, that was the question. Maybe it wasn't the Satoshi. Maybe it was the Mount Dogs and Takano as well. Not to mention that maybe they needed like another patient for the research in the dissection area. So taking Satoshi in and creating the idea in the eyes of the many villagers in Oishi that Satoshi was the killer and he just disappeared, running away with the money after the murder, that is a good cover. Not only in the eyes of Takaro and the Mount Dogs and all that, not only would the Satoko no longer have the aunt as a detriment, which will then bring her possibly back to like lower stages and continue the cure and get more research out of that. Not only that, but they now have like an extra patient that they can dissect in the form of Satoshi. And now the problem is that Satoko is going to be stressed now because Satoshi disappeared. So, I mean, if Takano was the one responsible for this, and not only is the aunt, but also Satoshi gone, what if Satoko ended up committing suicide as a possibility? There was that possibility, so, I mean, thank God that she didn't commit suicide or anything like that, but still. I mean, he disappeared in such a puzzling way. He didn't run because he was afraid that his crime had come to light. Another culprit came into the picture. He was already arrested for a different crime, and furthermore, he died while in prison. He confessed to information only the culprit himself would have known. Therefore, he must be the culprit. But as he's already dead, the investigation was closed. Then Satoshi Houjou disappeared a few days after the festival. It's obvious someone doesn't want Satoshi Houjou to be connected to this incident. My boss put pressure on me to close the investigation and to file Satoshi Houjou's disappearance as a separate incident. He even handed the case over to a different section. The way this case is closing so rapidly greatly resembles the same trick he used 2 years ago with the Houjou couple's accident. There's no doubt it's the work of someone who can put pressure on the police. And thus, the Sonozaki. They may think their trails are covered, but this points towards them more clearly than anything. According to my information, Oryo Sonozaki mentioned the 4th year's curse at the family meeting and hinted that she was the one behind it all. Hinting isn't strong enough evidence, but there is no mistaking that Oryo Sonozaki is the one pulling the strings. I know they're the ones who did it, the old man, but I just can't grab them. The principal offender is still on the loose, but I'm sure he's being sheltered somewhere by the Sonozaki family. I have to locate him and find that missing right arm. I'll return the arm to his grave and make the principal offender and the masterminds both bow down before it. However, just like how Satoshi Houjou disappeared, it's possible the principal offender has already been eliminated. I bet he's already been killed and buried somewhere nobody can find. If that's the case, then that's fine. I'll make the old hag who ordered someone to kill the old man slam her forehead on the ground before his grave. This, I swear. After the 4th year's curse, people are already saying something will happen again next year. Even with all my preparations, I couldn't prevent the incident from happening this time. It's too late if something happens. I must keep my eyes on the core of the village before something takes place. There's a reason why I have to get to the bottom of this by next year. Because I'm retiring. My mother has been wanting to go back to her hometown in Hokkaido. And for a long time, she's been asking me to move there when I retire. I feel that's the least I can do for her, so I agreed to move to Hokkaido when I retire. So next year is my last chance to avenge the old man's death. It happened 4 years in a row, so more than likely there will be a 5th curse too. As a result of the series of mysterious deaths, the village has been tightly knit together since the damn protests. They were told that betrayers will be punished in the name of the curse. To the masterminds, that's enough reason to continue with the series of mysterious deaths. According to rumors, this year's victim, the aunt, was cursed because she didn't participate in the Watanagashi festival. So there are villagers who believe that if they don't participate in next year's Watanagashi, they'll be cursed. It'll be a huge festival next year for sure. Something will happen. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, also known as the curse of Yashiro-sama. I will avenge the old man. I will definitely will. Yeah, dude, we already know that. Jesus. I won't lie when I say that that felt very repetitious to me. Like I already know this information, come on. Alright, let's see. I'm interested in this. The village was in an uproar because the 4th mysterious death in a row, which everyone believed would happen, actually did. Satoko-chan's aunt was killed, All the villagers feel rather satisfied about this incident, saying the curse finally fell on her for being a local troublemaker. But I know the truth. When I saw the beaten up body at the crime scene, I knew Satoshi-kun was responsible for it. Her abuse towards Satoko-chan was getting worse and worse. Satoshi-kun wanted to protect her, so he brought home a baseball bat. All the signs were there, so I didn't even need to hear it from Satoshi-kun. Yet, I couldn't avoid questioning myself. I felt bad for the Houjou siblings, who had no one on their side. So I tried to be their ally. Yet, I failed to be any help to them. The phone rang. It was Satoshi-kun. He's never called me before. What happened? Does he want me to help him? If so, I will. I truly feel that way.
監督ですか？お仕事中にすみませんでした。
いえいえ、気になさらないでください。どうかなさいましたか？
車を持っている人が他に思いつかなかったんで。
車ですか？ええ、ありますよ。
実は今、沖宮のおもちゃ屋さんの前にいるんです。ミオンのおじさんのおもちゃ屋じゃなくて、もう一軒の歯医者さんの近くにあるおもちゃ屋さんの方です。
ああ、わかりますわかります。
それで、さとこの誕生日プレゼントのぬいぐるみを変えたんですけど、大きくって自転車に積めないんです。
大きくって自転車に積めない？サトシ君、あなたどれだけ大きなぬいぐるみを買ったんですか？
I guess he didn't think about it and went to the toy store on his bicycle. Now he's stuck. That's so typical of him. I can't help but smile warmly. In other words, he can't carry both the bicycle and the teddy bear, so he wants me to come pick him up. I told him I'd be right over and headed to the toy store in Okamiya. Okay. When I got there, I found that the teddy bear he bought is a lot bigger than I imagined.
これは大きいですね。
It is big, 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 big. Big enough to reach the skies. As Satoko deserves.
確かにこれじゃ自転車は無理でしょう。
The teddy bear is so big that Satoshi-kun can hardly wrap his arms around it. If he puts it on his lap in the passenger seat, you won't be able to see anything. We loaded the bicycle in the back seat and stuffed the teddy bear in the trunk. Okay.
しかし、これだけの大きなぬいぐるみともなると高かったでしょう。
ええ、まあ、そこそこね。
At first, I thought he was sweating because of the heat, but he is acting oddly, as if he has a high fever and his consciousness is coming and going.
どうしましたか？具合でも悪いんですか？
多分、いえ、風邪です。
それはよくありませんね。診療所に寄っていきませんか？具合を見てあげましょう。
ありがとうございます。
When he called earlier, he didn't sound this way. Did he become ill all of a sudden?
どうぞ、リクライニングを倒して楽にしてください。冷房が強すぎませんか？大丈夫ですか
？His face is turning pale. I can tell he has a high fever. Satoshi-kun was pushing himself to buy this teddy bear. A teddy bear this size can't be that cheap. For him to earn enough money in such a short period of time, He must have worked hard and long hours. Maybe he felt relieved now that he got the teddy bear he had wanted to buy. It's not unusual for a person to collapse after reaching his big goal.
しかしよく頑張りましたね。こんなにも大きなぬいぐるみを。さとこちゃん、きっと喜ぶと思いますよ。
喜んで欲しいです。
喜びますよ。私が保証しちゃいます。
もうおばさんもいない。おじさんも帰ってこない。もうこれで貞子をいじめる人はいないんですよね。
そうですね。もうさとこちゃんをいじめる人はいません。だからこれからはゆっくりと過ごしていいんです。
おばさんはいないんですよね。死んだんですもんね。
はい、確かに死にました。検視には私も立ち会っています。間違いありませんよ。だからもう二度とさとこちゃんをいじめたりはしません。
本当におばさんが死んでるのは。
はい、間違いなく。
じゃあたまに通りすがるおばさんにそっくりな人がいても、それはおばさんじゃないんですよね。おばさんが実は生きてて退院してきたとか、そういうんじゃないんですよね。
ええ、そんなことはありえません。二度と私たちの前に現れることはありませんよ。
じゃああの人、あれもよく似てるけどおばさんじゃないんですよね。ですよね。
Satoshi-kun pointed at the oncoming car in fear. Of course, the car passed by so quickly that I couldn't see her face. But no matter how much she looks like her, it's impossible for her to be alive.
ほら、あの人もあんなにそっくりでも、だって僕を見ましたよ。
落ち着いてください、サトシ君。おばさんは完全に死にました。だからどんなに似ていてもそれはおばさんではありません。
似てる。いや、違う。本当におばさんなんだ。おばさんがまだあんなに殺したのに、あんなに殴ったのに、なんで
I can only try to stay calm and drive. Satoshi-kun is losing his cool. He's delusional. He's seeing his aunt coming back from the dead. And then I finally realize Satoshi-kun is displaying symptoms of the terminal stage. I need to examine him once I get to the clinic. It's different from Satoko-chan's case. We already have the cure. We can treat Satoshi-kun. If I talk to the mountain dogs, they'll take care of the murder of his aunt. So I can both save him from going terminal and give him back his peaceful days with Satoko-chan. Okay. He was deranged until just a minute ago. But now he's gone quiet. He didn't fall asleep. I must get to the clinic while Satoshi-kun remains in this calm state. There's no guarantee that he won't attack me while I'm driving. As if he knows what is going through my mind, Satoshi-kun spoke to me quietly.
監督、これってやっぱりお社様のたたりなんでしょうか。
たたりなんかありません。どうか気を強く持ってください。
里子、ごめん。ぬいぐるみを買う直前まで僕はそのお金でどこか遠くに逃げてしまおうって思ってたんだ。だからそんな僕をお社様は許さなかったんだ。僕は兄失格なんだ。
無理に喋らなくていいですよ。まぶたを閉じて休んでいてください。すぐに診療所に着きますからね。そうしたら具合のすぐ良くなる薬をあげますからね。
僕の血の中にも藤虫が湧いてるのかな。かゆい。
書かないで。喉を書いてはいけません。
We arrived at the back door of the clinic. I slammed the brakes and stopped the car. Satoshi-kun has already started to claw at his throat. I can't stop him by myself. I asked for some help through the intercom. Some staff members came out immediately. Maybe Satoshi-kun was surprised to see so many people at once, because he started to resist. I don't even need to run tests. He is at L5. He's reached the terminal stage, and his thoughts must be filled with delusions. Maybe he thinks that the staff members want to kill him. The staff members pinned his arms and legs down and gave him a shot to put him to sleep.
監督、助けて。
大丈夫ですよ。すぐに治療しますから、しばらくの間楽にしていてください。
どく。里子、お願い。
Please take care of Satoko. After saying those words, he fell unconscious.
あらあら、騒がしいと思ったらこれは何事ですの？
サトシ君が急性発症したようです。彼の日頃のストレスを考えれば、いつ発症してもおかしくなかったでしょう。いや、ぬいぐるみを買うまで自制心でそれをずっと抑え続けてきたに違いありません。
なんだか毎年綿流しになると生きた検体が手に入りますわね。これもお社様のたたりのおかげなのかしら。
I don't have time to listen to her nonsense. Alright. Now what's gonna happen though? Why did Satoshi disappear? Did they have no choice but to do research on him? Dissection? Because the cure did not help? Or did he die? I don't know. Let's see. Next is piece 25. Result of dice 1. It happened so suddenly. Uncle Koizumi passed away. Oh. I never heard he was ill or wasn't feeling well. His chest started to hurt suddenly, and he couldn't sleep. He called an ambulance for the first time in his life because he didn't think he could endure the pain. He was taken into the emergency care, but he didn't live to see morning. He was an acute myocardial infarction, but maybe it was the best possible way to go. Instead of being in bed for many years, slowly dilapidating and withering away, he was healthy until his death. So I think he must have lived a wonderful life. But still, it was too sudden. I wish I had called him uncle more. It's too late though. Uncle Koizumi would never smile at me again with his wrinkly old face, no matter how many times I called for him. He was my guardian until now. He always looked after me, making sure my efforts received proper recognition. Maybe he only did that because he couldn't help my grandfather when he was alive. But still, he was an important person to me. He wasn't just my political backing. But I didn't realize that when he was alive. I only thought of using his power for my own agenda. But after he died, I realized Uncle Koizumi was my grandpa too. He provided the warmth and protection that I longed for from my own grandfather. At his funeral, I shed tears. I thought that I forgot how to.
おじいちゃん、今までありがとう。もっとおじいちゃんって呼んであげればよかったね。
No matter how many times I called to him, he would never reply. What I can do for him at this point is complete my research. I must accomplish my goal for his sake. When my grandfather's research is finally acknowledged, Uncle Koizumi's name will be known once again for being the sole supporter of his endeavor. I believe that's the best way to repay him for everything he has done. I vow to devote myself to my work even more from this day on. But, unfortunately, hardships and sadness tend to come together. It was like the tailwind that blew steadily until today suddenly became a headwind. The winds shifted far too subtly. So strong, so cold, so sad.
どういうことなの、次郎さん。
小泉先生が入江機関設立の立役者だったのは高野さんも知ってるよね。関係機関でなかなか承認の取れなかったのを小泉先生が強力に抑え込んで無理やり通させたって話なんだよ。何しろ医薬品業界で絶大な功績を挙げられた戦後日本復興の重鎮だからね。政財界に絶大な影響力を持たれていたし。
その小泉先生が亡くなって小泉先生が通した無理やりが通らなくなったということ。
あくまでも噂なんで本当のところは僕にもわからないんだけど、一部の予算配当やプロジェクトの見直しが行われるらしいというのを聞いたんだよ。
I see. So this is it. This is what I was asking before. This is the twist that made the research no longer go smoothly. It is Koizumi's death that makes Takano from now on even more desperate in completing it, to the point of how it all ended for the village. Koizumi was like one of the main sponsors behind the research.
入江機関が廃止されるということ。
いや、入江機関を見直すというのは聞いたことないけど、ただ小泉先生の死後、長老たちの派閥や勢力、後継者争いがややこしくなっているってもっぱらの噂なんだ。すでにクライアントの人事にかなりの影響を与え始めてるらしいんだ。それで小泉派が主導していたプロジェクトや聖域予算に対し締め付けが行われるんじゃないかって憶測が飛び交ってるらしいんだよ。もちろんそれらは全て僕にとって雲の上の話だからね。伝え聞いた噂話でしかないんだけれど。
Jiro-san kept saying there were rumors, but that told me the wind's direction. But that told me the wind's direction has changed. Or maybe Jiro-san already knows everything and is simply trying to warn me about it. And then, at our next routine audit, Jiro-san made it clear with his own mouth. High-ranking government officials, who had never came here before, attended the routine audit along with Jiro-san. Just by seeing those faces, I can tell the turning point is approaching.
ご存知の通り、アルファベットプロジェクトは戦後日本の国際的な地位向上を目的としたものです。ですが、すでに昭和も50年代に至り、西暦は21世紀を間近にしております。
He meant exactly what he said. Japan has already put the past behind, and it's cutting off its ties to the ghosts that wished to resurrect the militaristic might of the pre-war era.
戦後40年間、我が国は世界への平和的貢献を模索し、国際的地位を確立するに至りました。日本は国際社会において重要なポジションを担う国家として成熟し、来世紀にはますますにその存在感を強めることでしょう。
The Alphabet Project, the main sponsor of the a.k.a. Institute, are a group of people who want to develop a weapon that would act as a deterrent to the nuclear weapons which Japan is forbidden to own. So they come to the a.k.a. Institute, one of its branch organizations, to tell us Japan has now renounced nuclear arms. So the a.k.a. Institute will be facing a strong cold headwind from now on. The roll of the dice that came up with 1 on that stormy day has reappeared. I won't let the result of a die affect me. The power of my will won't be beaten by some god's roll of the dice.
よって現在時代に即した形になるようアルファベットプロジェクトの見直しを進めています。新生アルファベットプロジェクトは国際交流と経済発展の二軸からなる平和外交の見地から日本の地位向上を模索していくことになるでしょう。
All the people who hold tremendous influence in the politics and economy of Japan were born before the war, so naturally they want to regain the glory of pre-war Japan. The very idea that we can win next time if we research the new bomb that defeated us is itself a specter of the war. No, everyone already realized that. It was just that no one could speak out against the grandstanding elders they owed their gratitude towards. Soon, the old will wither away, and the new generation will take control. Uncle Koizumi was, in a way, the last remaining pillar for the old generation. His death is a chance for the new generation to step in. The things they couldn't argue openly are now being discussed. They pointed out that from the beginning. Alphabet Project was created for the personal satisfaction of a small group of people, and it sucked money out of this treasury. And so, the new generation of politicians have taken over from the old.
よってアルファベットに関わるすべてのプロジェクトで今後大幅な予算の見直しが図られていくことになります。これはもちろん入江機関も例外ではありません。どうかご了解をいただけますようよろしくお願いいたします。
It is funny to think about this. Takano's long life goal to complete the research for the sake of herself and her grandfather, Hifumi, and now Koizumi, hinges on Japan wanting to go to war. Yeah.
わかりました。私たちもスポンサーあっての研究です。どうかよろしくお願いいたします。
Irie responded appropriately, but he's obviously bewildered. The best equipment and staff are being provided to the a.k.a. Institute. In other words, our research requires a huge amount of money. For those with no interest in Hinamizawa syndrome, they probably won't be able to understand why that much money is being put into research of disgusting parasites. If they're simply going to revise our budget, that will be fine. We were receiving more than enough money. That would naturally be adjusted. It hurts, but we can endure. That's what I thought. But if just enduring it was enough, it wouldn't be a 1 on a dime. So, even in that sense, this is definitely a roll of die coming up as 1.
でありまして、この4月に新体制の理事会が発足し、全プロジェクトに対する新方針が示されました。これにつきましては、お配りします資料をご覧ください。
His papers were then passed around. He started to go over the details, but I read through quickly so I could learn about their stupid decisions first.
入江機関はこれまで先進的な研究において数々の目覚ましい成果を上げられ、未知であったひなみざわ症候群の全貌解明、そして治療薬の開発を成し遂げました。理事会でもこの成果は大変に高く評価しています。これもすべて入江所長以下入江機関全職員のたゆみない努力によるものと思っております。
いえ、恐縮です。
Even while he received our congratulations, a tense atmosphere surrounded me and Irie. It's customary to start the conversation in the opposite way you're planning to take it, before delving into your main point to convey. If the main issue is something good, then start with something bad, or vice versa.
入江機関の研究目的は2つありました。ひなみざわ症候群の研究と治療法の確立、そして多面運用の模索です。新生理事会はこの後者の多面運用の模索については即時の中止を決定しました。これらの研究開発が国内で行われていた事実と痕跡は今後はむしろアキレス腱になりかねません。入江機関は直ちにこれに関わるすべての研究を中止し一切を破棄してください。
わかりました。ご指示に従います。
Irie replied with that immediately. Irie was assertive about finding a cure, but was never even remotely interested in researching the diseases used for military purposes. I mean, as far as it concerns for him, it isn't like any big blow to his mission. I mean, money is definitely an issue, but at least he will continue to do the research for the sake of a cure, so I'm sure he has no qualms about concurring with such demands. But I don't agree, because our research will be more limited if we're just trying to find a cure. To me, finding a cure is simply a byproduct of my larger goal of discovering everything about the syndrome.
また、入江機関につきましては、最長3年以内をめどに研究の収束を図ってまいります。予算もそれに合わせ段階的に縮小する方針です。
ちょっと待ってください。近年ようやくひなみざわ症候群の全貌が分かり、今まさに治療法の研究を進めているところです。確かに研究は日々進んでおりますが、3年という短い期間で確実に完成させられることをお約束はできません。
理事会では入江機関はすでに治療薬について十分な研究を完成させているという認識です。すでに入江機関は治療薬 S8E10 を完成させ、その臨床データを多数。
いえ、完成なんてとんでもない。まだまだ試薬の域を出ず、村人全員を治療できる目処は全く立っていません。このような段階で研究終了ありきでの議論は全くもって無謀としか言いようがありません。
I'm surprised that he objected. Thanks to him, I didn't have to say anything. But if Irie hadn't objected, I'm sure I would have shrieked in protest.
それでは、入江機関には現時点では感染者全員を治療し、ひなみざわ症候群を撲滅することは不可能だということですね。
そうです。もちろん村人全員の治療とひなみざわ症候群の撲滅は将来的には不可能なことではありませんし、私もそれを最大の目標にしています。ただそれには十分な時間が必要で、そのためには無論予算も必要です。私たちは調べ、実践し、確立する仕事をしています。設計図に従ってものを作り、期間があれば必ず決まった成果が出せる仕事とは事情が違います。どうかそこを誤解なさらないようにしていただきたいです。
I guess Irie speaks out when he needs to. And what he's saying is absolutely right. Research isn't something guaranteed to produce results with money and time. But I disagree with some of the things he said. He's objecting all the time and the money, but he's basically agreeing to limit our research only towards finding a cure for Hinamizawa syndrome. That won't do. We won't unravel any mysteries that way. At that rate, the discovery of the Hinamizawa syndrome won't be recognized as my father's great achievement.
なるほど。入江所長のおっしゃることもごもっともと思います。私どもにとっての最大の目的は、軍事目的の研究が行われていたことの完全な破棄です。よって、Hinamizawa症候群という特殊現象が研究されていた痕跡と、そもそも存在していた事実についても隠蔽すべきであると考えます。最終的にHinamizawa症候群が世間に知られることなく撲滅されるならば、そのための期間と予算は必要不可欠なものでしょう。それについては今後協議を重ねていくということでよろしいでしょうか。
はい、依存ありません。
では入江機関はできるだけ早急にHinamizawa症候群撲滅を秘密裏に行えるプランと予算案を作成提出してください。極力ご指示を汲み取れるよう努力します。
わかりました。早急に提出いたします。
誤解ないようにしていただきたいのは、私どもはあくまでも研究を直ちに中断させようというのではなく、円満な形で研究を終了させようということです。この違いをご理解ください。
ええ、もちろん理解しております。
While I was listening to their conversation, I was struck dumbfounded with something they said. Eradicating the syndrome is secrecy. In other words, you would be as though Hinamizawa syndrome never existed. Yeah, that's something that she would not want. So my grandfather's name will never be revered by anyone. The sound of rustling papers and hushed proceedings filled the meeting room, but I only heard a ticking clock as I clutched my sweating palms. Yep. But what about Satoshi though? Like, what is the conclusion with that? He was taken to the hospital because the syndrome, he disappeared, and then what? Alright. Next is Dismay. PS20. This was 25th. You'll have to be on this page. Disappointment. 20. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. And next one after that is Deja Vu. Okay.
今日はこれくらいにしようか。気が乗らないみたいだからね。
あら、そんなことはないのよ。そう見えたならごめんなさいね。
Takano-san has been looking through the viewfinder, but I've ever seen her push the shutter at all. While she came along, I don't think she's in the mood for bird watching. Takano-san has been depressed ever since the announcement of the new policies at the board meeting the other day. That's understandable. The AD Institute was created by her in the first place. It was created so that she can devote her life to researching Hinamizawa syndrome. For all that to be tossed aside while being asked to wrap up work within a few years, of course she's depressed. Besides, she can't even fully spend the rest of the time left on research. Their funding was being cut in stages, and by the end, they'll barely be able to finish closing up, let alone research anything. I heard that she is the granddaughter of the late Dr. Takano. Her determination to finish her grandfather's research is what kept her going until today. Heard? You guys talked about this, you didn't hear about it. Since everything has been going so smoothly until recently, the sudden change in the wind's dissection must have been a total shock. The shift in people pulling the strings must be pretty serious. The board of directors was completely changed out, and she heard that people and projects influenced by the Koizumi faction were being restructured to set an example. The wind's new direction seems like it will remain for a long time. it's highly unlikely that the Koizumi faction will come back into power. So no matter what we say, it's almost impossible to expect the same kind of support from them.
もうどうにもならないのかしら。
Takano-san muttered. Unfortunately, there isn't. There is nothing anybody can do.
最初理事会では即時研究を中止という話も出たんだ。それをなんとか納得させて数年間で段階的に終了というところまで勝ち取ってくれたんだよ。入江機関発足で僕たちを世話してくれた人たちがね。
なるほど。一見最悪と思えるこの状況も、それでも陰で誰かが勝ち取ったギリギリの成果なのね。
それで勝ち取った期間がせいぜい3年なんだ。僕も一応努力はしたんだよ。高野さんが今日までに作った資料を理事会に説明し、とても重要な研究であることをアピールしたつもりなんだけど。
それでも3年でおしまいなのね。
Maybe Takano-san doesn't understand how hard I tried to convince them. Because what she just said tells me the length of time left really doesn't matter to her. The important thing is that her research is being stopped. The fact is that I couldn't meet her expectations and made her feel disappointed. As a man, it kind of hurts.
僕にできることは、せめて研究が畳まれるまでの数年間、心残りがないよう研究できるだけの予算をつけるための根回しをしてあげることだけだ。ごめん。こんな程度のことしかできなくて。
いいのよ。それが二郎さんにできる精一杯なのなら、それでとても嬉しいもの。
Her words hurt me. I wish she'd chosen different ones. But I think that would be asking too much from someone so heartbroken. I must be understanding of her pain at a time like this. Besides, I know how close she was to the deceased Koizumi-sensei. She even called him uncle. To her, his death is not just the start of a coup, or a change in direction. She lost a person who was always looking after her. No matter how hard she pushed herself to act villainous, she wasn't supposed to be a part of this world. She was just an ordinary woman. But she was intrigued by Hinamizawa syndrome, and she had to find help from someone who had more power than her to be able to continue research on it. The dark side of the world she would never have gotten involved in, and extended its hands out to her. She was left all by herself in that world, and she's still trying to put on a brave face. I'm sure Takano-san thinks I'm unreliable. Realistically, I'm not the kind of person who can meet her expectations, nor do I have the power to. The least I can do for her is stay sincere and remain her ally until the very end. Since she had so much room to act, it's harder for her to determine what actions to take when she's cornered. I wanted to believe she wouldn't, but I'm concerned that she might do something drastically, eventually. I hope I can be of help to her in that very final moment, before she makes her move. But I can't even gain enough trust from her to do that. How pitiful and pathetic. Of course, part of it is, as a man, I want her to rely on me. But that's not really it. She's been abandoned in this world and is all alone. So someone has to be her ally. And if I'm the only one who knows about that, then being her ally is my job. I know her too well, so I know that she'll never ask for help. Even if she says it's unnecessary, someone has to be with her. I know that. I don't really think I'm suited for that job. I'm sure that there are many reliable people out there who are more appropriate for the position than me. But I can't let her be alone until that person appears.
高野さん、僕は全然頼りがいもないし、みっともない男かもしれないけど。
何突然。どうしたの二郎さん。
それでも頼ってもらえたらきっと力になれることもあると思うんだ。 だか
ありがとう。でも私、喋るだけでも心が軽くなるっていうのをあまり信じてないの。ごめんなさいね。気にしてもらえるだけでもとても嬉しいわよ。
そうかい。ならいいんだ。僕はずっと味方だから、それだけは信じていてほしいな。
もちろん信じてるわ。理事会をうまく説得できる方法があったらぜひ教えてね。
僕なりにも努力してみるよ。
Why is it? I know she's such a strong person and there's nothing someone like me can do for her. But somehow, I feel she needs help and support right now. She looks as tough as ever, but only I, who has been taking pictures of her all this time, can tell. A viewfinder, after all, is also a window to look into someone's heart. But if I say something like that, she'll tease me again, so I won't. Anyway, I never thought she needed support more strongly than I do right now. Alright. Next is Deja Vu, I believe. Yep, the piece right after.
やあ、中川くん。ずいぶんの久方ぶりになるね。先はやってるのかい？あれ。あはははは。いえいえ、もうさっぱりです。年は取りたくないもんですな。クレイやるときは集中してやらないとダメだよ。あんまり間を空けすぎると勘が鈍っちゃって意味ない意味ない。
先生、ご紹介します。高野さんさです。
はじめまして。本日はお忙しい中、お時間をお割きくださいましてありがとうございます。
ああ、別に君のために時間を割いたわけじゃない。うまい生ウニが食わせてもらえるって話でね。ウニはいいんだよ君。ビタミン A が豊富でね、お肌に特にいいんだとか。女性は大好きでしょ、ウニ。
It is true that sea urchins are rich in vitamin A, but compared to spinach, it's not anything that's worth making a fuss about. Well, none of that matters right now. He just seemed like an unpleasant man, so I wanted to criticize him. These men are the directors of the Alphabet Project, who control the funding for the ED Institute. There are also people who are in position of being able to offer their opinions to those directors. To put it in a simple way, they are the new owners of the ED Institute. Although not as much as Uncle Koizumi was, they're also leaders and influencers in various fields. I have to be very careful not to upset them, and therefore, there's no way I would have had the ability to call them in. By using the influence that the Koizumi faction once had, I finally managed to get this chance. Uncle Koizumi, who gave me his full support and made everything go my way, is not here anymore. I am on my own from this point on, and I'll open up a path. But the stage just doesn't belong to me today. I can't let the people who offered me this chance to lose face, so I have to wait patiently until it's my turn. My primary objective today is to explain what a prominent research subject the Hinamizawa syndrome is, and acquire an indefinite extension for our research. They only ever think about money, so they aren't even realizing the hidden potential of Hinamizawa syndrome. They don't recognize that it's worth spending a lot of money on. This is not mere research on the existence of an unknown parasite, but something that may overthrow the basic foundations of anthropology. A Nobel Prize wouldn't even be enough. It won't be easy trying to explain all that to men who know nothing about any of it. But I have to. That's why I spend many hours making these straightforward support documents. Sometimes we make documents confusing on purpose, because we don't like dealing with uneducated people. But this time, it's different. I can't look down at them. I must sincerely try to make them understand. The accessible support documents are there in a huge pile. It feels like we're wasting time eating traditional Japanese food in such a relaxed mood. I want to get to the point and explain to them in detail so they can understand. But there is a saying, luck lies in the last helping. I have to be patient right now.
正直ね、これまでのアルファベットはあまり良くないと思うのです。結局こいつは未だ頭の中が時代遅れの年寄りどものね、お砂場みたいなもんだったんですな。
年寄りどもが自分のじゃない金で過去の栄光を取り戻す夢を描くお砂場です。そんな年寄りどもの妄想のために一体どれだけの公金が垂れ流されたやら。
聞いた話じゃ、奥野先生あたりが検察をつっついて旧理事会を横領で追わせてるらしいですな。
年寄りたちをよいしょしてうまい汁を吸っていた連中の末路ですな。もっとも表沙汰にはできんでしょうから、別件で隕石左遷といった形になるんでしょうが、いやはや、これも戦前の亡霊をずっと野放しにしていた日本のツケですな。いやー、この野球にの汁もたまらない。
これは手厳しい。そんな中で先生にこんなお願いをするのは非常になんですが、一つお時間を頂戴できればと思いまして。
入江機関さんでしたっけ？確か長野だか岐阜の方で風土病の研究をされてるんでしたな。どういうことになってましたっけ？
理事会の決定で軍事転用研究が中止に。あと研究そのものも3年以内に段階的終了に決定しています。いえ、これは継続協議中でした。まあそのいずれにしましても数年以内に閉鎖になる予定です。
思い出した思い出した。入江機関さんは旧理事会でも評判が悪かったみたいですな。何しろ莫大な予算をほとんど無審査で吸い取ってましたからね。
某大先生がどういうわけか、このプロジェクトをやたら後押しされてたみたいでしてね。その絡みもあって結局誰も文句が言えずに放置されてきたってのが実際のようです。
まあでもな、もう大先生は女癖が悪かったからそれもあったのかもしれませんな。
Is he implying that I slept with Uncle Koizumi? He's insulting both of us. But I held my anchor in. I can't let myself be bothered by something like this.
それで本日は当機関の研究内容について説明させていただき、当機関に対する理事会の決定についてどうかご再考をお願いしたいと思いましてお時間を頂戴させていただきました。本日はこのような場へご多忙な中お越しいただきましたことを深く御礼申し上げます。
Oh god. Now I see why this fragment is called Deja Vu. I don't think that Takano is gonna end up successful, like, in any way, by the end of this.
ま、ただでウニが出てくるわけはないってことですな。
I explained to them how much the Hinamizawa syndrome mattered while being very careful not to go too fast. I mean, Takano is literally doing the same thing that, well, of course, like, the big difference between Takano and Hifumi is that Takano studied a lot and she made connections, a lot of connections, and she has worked so far. But because of like the end of the project and like more importantly Koizumi is dead, so there is one minus for the for connections and such. What she's doing, what Takano is doing right now is literally what Hifumi did like years ago. Like in one meeting room with all these idiots and trying to explain them the Hinamizawa syndrome with her mind, and these huge stacks of papers are like on the table for them. It may explain ideology and religion. It may even shake the very definition of a human being. I took my time to explain as slowly and clearly as possible. I'm not confident that all of it had gotten through to those boorish men, but I'm happy if they understood even just a part of it. And as long as they understand how much of a magnificent discovery Hinamizawa syndrome really is. I did not put the accent correctly.
ありがとう、サンサ。なるほど。
ちょっと検討したいので、サンサには一度下がってもらってよろしいですかな。
はい。それでは失礼させていただきます。
Obviously, they can't discuss it in front of me. I left all the documents with them. All I could do now was hope they viewed them favorably. I left the room and closed the sliding room. The room next door is a preparation room. So I was to head there, but I stopped. I shouldn't have done it, but I tried to listen in through the sliding door.
こりゃなんと言いますか。全理事の皆さんも気の毒としか言いようがありませんな。
いやー小泉先生がですね、非常に強く押されていまして。
小泉先生にはローウェル製薬日本法人の初代顧問に就任された時に一度お会いし、とても聡明な方だなという印象を強く持っていたのですが、
人間年には勝てないということですな。何事も引き際が肝心だと思い知らされますよ。
ただですね、Hinamizawa症候群という非常に珍しい病気があるのは事実でございまして、決して全てが全て妄想というわけではありませんでして。
入江機関はすでに病気の解明と治療薬の開発に成功しているというじゃありませんか。それで十分ですよ。
現代日本にとって周辺諸国を過敏にさせる件については厳に慎むべきです。中でも軍事分野は最も敏感と言えるでしょう。少なくとも数年間にわたり軍事目的の研究がされていた事実は直ちに抹消しなくてはなりません。
それは軍事研究の中止とは別に。
そうです。Hinamizawa症候群は生物兵器開発のための研究という事実は直ちに研究を中止したとしても残ります。Hinamizawa症候群を目的は何であれ研究した事実は厳重に隠蔽されなければなりません。できればHinamizawa症候群そのものがなくなってしまうのが好ましい
ですな。病気が残ればやがては関心を持つ者が現れ、せっかく埋めた穴をわざわざ掘り返す輩が現れないとも限りません。理事会の決定通り、入江機関は病気を撲滅させ次第、研究の痕跡を全て消した上で解散させるのがいいでしょ
う。やはりそういう結論に行き着きますな。ノーベル賞が取れるかどうかが問題ではなく、戦後日本にとって無用な研究だということです。そもそも大昔から存在し、特に異常もなくやってこれたわけでしょ。やぶをつっつく研究なのではと当初から思っていました。
同感ですな。Hinamizawa症候群という病気の存在自体は疑わないが、この高野という第一発見者は少々この病気を脚色しすぎですな。私も資料を読みながらユニークな発想をする人だなぁと思っておりました。第一、寄生虫で人の思想が染まるなんて聞いたことがない。
Man, you know, to think that this is like the conclusion of the research of Hinamizawa syndrome, You would think that if it's for the sake of military purposes, people in the government and people like these would be like all thumbs up, like all the way up their buttholes about it. But no, it's the exact opposite. They don't need that sort of stuff, which is kind of surprising. But at the same time, it is Japan. Like, I understand why this is happening right over here. Maybe I'm being surprised is because I'm thinking of other countries, like America. America would give their thumbs up their butthole, like no matter what, for a disease like this to be weaponized and used like whatever, so that they can be more powerful.
そりゃいくらなんでもひどすぎる。
動物の脳に寄生する寄生虫がいるなら、たまには人間の脳に寄生する寄生虫がいてもいいとは思う。しかし、その寄生虫が思想や人格までもコントロールする可能性なんてのはさすがにこりゃちょっとユニークすぎます。
As I peeked in through the gap in the sliding door, I became trapped within an unbelievable sense of deja vu. This is my first time experiencing this, but it doesn't feel that way. I don't know why, but the memory is so sad and so painful. Huh? Huh? Why tears? Before I realized it, I saw a very nostalgic carpeted room on the other side of the sliding door, instead of a room covered in tatami mats. The room is filled with the smell of dust mixed with the smell of some evaporated medicine, but it's very soothing to me just the same. And there is my grandfather. His article that he poured his heart into was made a mockery of, yet he wasn't even allowed to cry. This isn't a delusion, because within the documents I left with those men, there are a lot of references to the article my grandfather wrote. So I'm not surprised for my grandfather to be standing right there, explaining it to them himself. Together with my tears from seeing the sight of my beloved grandfather, I watched these men insult and belittle his masterpiece. I have seen this sight before, and the sight should have ended there. But why is it repeating before my eyes? I can only blankly peek through the sliding door at this strange world where reality and illusion overlap.
あの三叉もちょいとおかしいし、こんな世まいごとを信じた小泉先生もおかしいが、やはりこの第一発見者の論文が一番おかしいですな。
期待と妄想が入り混じっていて、これは論文というより創作の次元ですな。というか、これはこのままどこかの出版社に持ち込んで本にした方がウケると思いますよ。
確かに確かに。私の友人に出版社の社長をやってるのがいてね。きっと面白がって読んでくれると思いますよ。
笑い事ではありませんぞ、皆様方。このとんでもない研究がまかり通って、巨額の予算が数年間にもわたって投じられていたのですからな。特にひどいのは、万一の場合に備えて相当危険な機材を用意しているという点です。これは絶対に国民に知られてはならないことです。
計画が存在しただけでも恐ろしいのに、終末作戦なんて緊急措置の存在を知られてしまったら、国外は愚か、国内世論も敵に回すことになるだろうね。しかもその機材の維持費がすごいことになってるじゃないか。
そんなの本当に維持費にしてるわけないじゃないですか。そういう名目にしてトンネルしてる架空プロジェクトでしょ、どうせ。
大体何でしたっけ。 少女が一人死ぬだけで村人が1000人以上行動を起こす病気なんて、あなたどこの漫画の話ですか？
まったくまったく。こんな子供騙しを鵜呑みにして巨額の予算を垂れ流すとはつくづくいかんと思いますな。こんな資料を真に受ける連中がいるというんだから、実にバカバカしいことです。
As he said that, he placed the documents down with an exaggerated gesture. Actually, I should say he slammed them down, because the papers ended up scattered all over the floor. Oh boy.
ですよな。あ、ちょいと失礼。お手洗いに。
One of the men stood up and stepped on the papers. They weren't the papers on the tatami mats, but the ones on the carpet. Right there, I can see my grandfather filled with a heart-rending sadness. Yet, he can't let it show on his face. Grandfather's expression didn't change. Yet, it seemed distorted to me. I could see the walls of my grandfather's study crumpling and twisting behind him. I jumped into the room. I grabbed onto the man's legs. I don't hate him. No. It's not whether I hate him or not. Sure, I hate him, but that's not it. Oh god. Is this just just reliving the memory? Or, like, don't tell me that Takano is actually gonna make a scene right over here, thinking about our past. I just can't forgive the feet stepping on my grandfather's article. Oh god.
おじいちゃんが頑張って書いたんだから、足で踏んだりしないで。
ああ、失礼。
Those feet are still stepping on the papers. I tried to make them move, but they won't even budge, as though they've grown roots. So I begged as I grabbed onto his legs. I tried to pull the papers from under his feet, but I can't move his feet. I can't pull out the papers.
踏まないで、踏まないで。おじいちゃんの踏まないで。
My sobbing echoed in that silent room, just like it did back then. Oh god. That surely made things a lot worse. That surely made things a lot worse. Now I guess what's left is what Takano will do after this. An invitation to an end. What in the world is this? Grandfather's articles were trampled on. We have proof as clear as the pathogen causing Hinamizawa syndrome. So why can't they believe in its life cycle? Because they've never heard of that before? Because they can't imagine it? And because there was no way something so absurd could be true? Don't tell me that. I can't bring myself to care about the limits of those commoners' understanding. Why can't anyone believe the truth of my grandfather's article, which has been proven by the A.k.a. Institute? Why do people continue to believe that humans are a special existence? Humans are simply a species of animal. When various parasites that control their animal hosts exist, how can people declare parasites that use humans as their hosts don't? Wait. This isn't the problem. Not at all. Because everyone believed my grandfather's article up until now. Isn't that why the Ministry of Health and the Defense Agency lent me their assistance? But out of nowhere, they turned cold. In other words, every bit of their help was because Uncle Koizumi had my back. So nobody actually read my grandfather's article? Did they just pretend to in order to make Uncle Koizumi happy? Jesus. Like literally everybody like licking the higher ups like toes just to make them happy. Are you saying that for all these years of Takano working her damnedest and Koizumi helping in the background, he's the only one who believes in like the importance of the disease? Like nobody has, like in these years, nobody has grown attached to this research to the point where they would continue to help whatsoever? Like once Koizumi died, that's it. There's like nobody out there that would want to continue like helping Takano. Like not necessarily have like a strong connection with Takano, but somebody who would truly believe in the importance of the research to actually help. In similar fashion to Koizumi. Nobody? Like one guy dies and that's it. Jesus. What is the meaning of everything I've done up until today? I thought I'd achieved something, but what have I really accomplished? Like, are there like no people out there that would feel sad about the research like being cut? Like thinking, oh man, well, it sucks that the research budget is being cut. I actually do believe that this research is very important, so I don't think it should be. No, is everybody like these congressmen that never believed in it to begin with and find it useless? I don't know what's going on, and all I can do is wallow in grief. The more I think about it, the more I no longer understand the meaning of my own life. Didn't Mio Takano devote her life to being unuseful for her grandfather? Like, I'm having a hard time explaining what I wanted to say, in which case my bad. But, Jesus. Then, I haven't done anything for him at all. Count 3 with my grandfather and I go on to count 4. What a crazy thing to say. No. If I let my mind wander, doubt about myself and my life will slip in. So I'm just going to fill the gap in my heart with alcohol. I guess. Is it that strange to presume the existence of something that can influence human thoughts? It's true that Hinamizawa syndrome isn't the actual cause of ideology. And the best it can do is drive people mad. Socialism or capitalism don't originate with it. In the era my grandfather was living, you couldn't talk about the world without ideology. The article came from that time and age, so some of its inferences may be exaggerated or biased. But that's no reason to deny its foresight. You can't simply say it's crazy and push it aside. Besides, the most important thing they ignored is the fact that Rika Furude, the Queen Carrier, holds the fate of the village in her hands. My grandfather had predicted the importance and danger of the Queen Carrier since beginning his research on Hinamizawa syndrome. But the hypothesis of the infected community collapsing into madness if the Queen Carrier dies is a Pandora's box that can't be proven. It can only be confirmed after Rika Furude's death, and if she dies, it'll be too late. But there's no mistake that Rika Furude is the Queen Carrier, and a very special existence. Yeah, once again, as I said before, that is like the one thing about the Hinamizawa syndrome that I just don't believe in. And I have proof. There's timelines proving it. That's the one thing. So I don't know. It's clear from the various experiments we performed that she has a special influence on the infected villagers. Her death really could trigger the collapse of the entire village. Well, okay, try to make me understand this. Like, why? How can you prove that? Only if she dies, yeah. Well, actually, I think we did talk about this before. I think that the story said that, okay, well, there are some other examples in other cultures where something like that happens. Okay, there's at least that. So it kind of makes you think that the same case would happen here. I guess. But that still doesn't really convince me about it. That's no mistake. My grandfather predicted it. To say, oh, that sounds like a comic book, it's just too cruel. For them to call the various preparations we've made to protect her a fictional project that was used a ton of funds. What I'm doing now is simply what my grandfather was going to do. Therefore, insulting my research is the same as insulting my grandfather. According to my grandfather's article, the first thing that needs to be done when researching the syndrome is to protect the Queen Carrier. Yet, they ridicule that more than anything else. The more I think about it, the more their words stick in my memory. I can almost hear their voices, and I can't stop myself from covering my ears. I'm sure the members of the board of directors think I'm crazy. I was trying to petition for the AD Institute to not be shut down, but it backfired. The members must think that Hinamizawa syndrome is some kind of joke. I'm sure they push it even harder now to put a stop to our research. If that happens, I will have to go back to researching as an individual. In other words, the same as what my grandfather did. There is a limit to what an individual can do. It's doubtful if I would even be able to go back to researching it individually. Once the AD Institute is disbanded, everyone is obligated to keep it confidential until we die. I signed a contract to that extent. And that's not just a simple promise. If I were to break it, a special unit like the Mount Dogs would come after me to ensure that I keep everything confidential. Even if that doesn't happen, the AD Institute is to eradicate the syndrome within a few years, and to bury every trace of it, including the results of our research. And this isn't the normal process of research and treatment. They want to pretend nothing ever happened to begin with. I wanted to continue and complete my grandfather's work, but what's happening now will result in the complete opposite. I'm actually helping to eliminate my grandfather's hard-earned research from this world. A treatment has been created already. Although Yuri is as passionate as I am about developing a cure, he's not particularly interested in any other aspect of our research. I hate to admit it, but he has more experience and talent than I do. I'm sure he'll come up with a plan for eradicating Hinamizawa syndrome within 3 years, as requested by the new board of directors. And that board of directors will provide just enough funds to bury the syndrome. Idia will do that happily. Just like the time when he disposed of all the research data on test medicine H170, as was requested. All I can do is to passively hint at them, just like they did me, while watching the Hinamizawa syndrome get eradicated. And when everything is over, I'll finally complete an article which is destined to be destroyed. Should I kill myself with thoughts of it in my head, so I can at least present the article to my grandfather? He won't be happy even if I did that. On the contrary, he'll be disappointed in me for throwing the research he spent half of his life on down the drain. He won't embrace me. I know that for sure. And Takano, you are definitely wrong on this. He will embrace you no matter what, man. He loves you so dearly. The fact that he even went to this extent, and even with failure, he'll be very proud of you no matter what. I wanted to reveal Hinamizawa syndrome to the world. I wanted the world to acknowledge my grandfather's masterpiece. I wanted to carve his name in history and promote him to a god. My grandfather waited, believing that day would come, and he must be patiently waiting still, even after entering his eternal sleep. But I ruined it. I wanted them to become a god. I was going to become a god myself too. Then we will be together forever, and I'll never have to be alone. If I become a god, God won't test me. There won't be any unhappiness. There won't be a sudden train accident. My grandfather won't go away, nor will Uncle Koizumi. I'll never have to go back to being alone. I am alone. I have no allies. I was just dancing in ecstasy on a stage without anybody watching. I only just realized that there was no applause, but only ridicule. No. It's doubtful that there was actually anyone in the audience to begin with. My parents died. My grandfather died. And then Uncle Koizumi died. 3 times had God toyed with me with their rolls of the dice. I thought I overcame each of those trials with my own strength. But I didn't. I was protected by a new guardian each time. And this time, I have no guardians left to protect me. When I first arrived in Hinamizawa, I had every intention of challenging God and kicking him off of his throne. But no. Forget challenging God. I'm just a loser being played with. I suddenly can't find it within myself to care about anything. Because if I cared, I'd be swallowed by sadness. Soaking my heart in alcohol is all I can do to forget about everything. A luxurious black car abruptly stopped next to me. I became sobered immediately. As cars like that remind me of the time when I was captured after escaping from the orphanage. Oh God. Suspicious looking men in black suits and sunglasses got out from the car. I realized it instantly. They must have been sent by one of my clients. Being involved in the development of a biological weapon, being the main person responsible for it, and on top of that, being mentally unstable. They obviously don't want me walking around freely. They're going to abduct me, seal me in concrete, and erase my existence. Or so I thought. I expected them to grab me and shove me into the car. But surprisingly, they bowed deeply to me instead. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Freaking sound effect.
普段はね、今はただの飲んだくれの負け犬よ。
お会いしたい方がいらっしゃいます。どうか私たちにご同行いただけないでしょうか。
拒否してもどうせ無理やり連れて行くつもりなんでしょう。
I'll be killed anyway. I can't make my grandfather's wish come true, even if I live. Cynical thoughts like that ran through my head. Then the person in the back seat said,
無理にとは申しません。ですが、きっと三叉のお力になれると思っております。
I have never met this young woman before. She must be around my age. She knows about the Ariakey Institute, so she must be somehow connected to my clients. She's too young to be one herself. I bet a client who doesn't want to expose himself sent her. Even if I live, I can't make my grandfather a god. I can't be a god myself either. Who cares about where a loser like me gets killed anyway? I made up my mind and got into the back seat. As soon as I got in, the luxurious car smoothly took off. Silence filled the car for a time. They're the ones that invited me. I don't have anything to say myself.
ご無沙汰しております。と言っても、おそらくご存じないでしょうが、高野さんとは小泉先生の奔走の時、すれ違っております。
あら、そうでしたの。覚えていなくて申し訳ないです。
There were so many people at that funeral. I can't recall any of them. But why is that what she's opening with? Does that mean she belongs to the Koizumi faction?
小泉先生は 戦後日本復興のオピニオンリーダーの一人として長く活躍されてきました。今日の平和日本を語る上で小泉先生の功績に触れずして説明することは難しいでしょう。戦後の焼け野原から復興するときは我が国の有志たちも一枚岩でしたが、残念ながら今もそうであるとは言えません。
Is this Yukari Tamura? The VA for this young woman?
平和な時代が進み、焼け野原を知らぬ世代が国の中枢に入り始めるにつれ、当初の高貴な志を知る者は次第に減っていってしまいました。小泉先生はそんな高貴な同志の最後の長老として21世紀へ我が国を導いてくださる大黒柱だったのですが、
小泉先生の死後、小泉派は急速に没落。代わって他の派閥が勢力を伸ばし、いろいろと大変なことになっているでしたっけ？
I heard about these things from Jiro-san. It's really no different from the Sengoku era. When a lord or military leader died back then, the struggle to become his successor brought chaos to the nation. This country hasn't changed for hundreds of years.
その通りです。残念ながら平和日本は住みよい国づくりを実践してきましたが、同時に発足当時の高貴な志を忘れさせてもしまいました。現在東京は各派閥が小泉先生の空けた席と利権をめぐって争いが絶えない状態です。小泉先生をはじめすでに他界されている復興の功労者たちが知ったら、きっとお嘆きになられるに違いありません。
それと私に何の関係が？
あなたはそれの最大の被害者ではありませんか。今日までに風向きが突然変わるような体験を十分にされていると思いますが。
It's true that our research began because of Koizumi Sensei's support. And the pressures we faced under that anti-Koizumi faction have been tempestuous and cold. Maybe for them, every project that Koizumi Sensei left behind is an eyesore, regardless of what that project is. In other words, that simply means they rejected research itself, doesn't it? Come to think of it, something like this happened to my grandfather too. Back then, Koizumi brought authorities from various fields to see him. They talked down to my grandfather, despite the praise that he'd given earlier. Koizumi sensei told me that the masterminds were responsible for that.
hinamizawa症候群の研究はアルファベットプロジェクトで最大のもので、予算、体制その他、プロジェクトの目玉だったと言っても過言ではありません。ゆえにアルファベットの権益を独占したい連中によってあなたの研究はそのスケープゴートにされたのです。
スケープゴート？
決してhinamizawa症候群の研究が否定されたという意味ではないということです。彼らにとって重要なのはそのプロジェクトの派閥であり内容ではありません。本日高野さんに特にお伝えしたかったのはそこでした。
結局私は見せしめの羊ということなのね。私が何の研究をしていようとどうでもいい。この研究が小泉派のものであったということだけが彼らの関心。
そういうことです。派閥は風向きそのもの。順風な時もあれば逆風となる時もあります。その変わった風向きを取り戻すのは残念ながら容易なことではありません。
私のクライアントたちが敵対的になったのを元に戻すのは容易ではないということ？
そうです。アルファベットプロジェクトは完全に乗っ取られてしまいました。理事は全て変わり、彼らの私欲を肥やすためだけに決定をします。あなたの捨て身の説明など初めから彼らには耳を貸す気もないのです。
So I guess to other factions, the Hinamizawa syndrome was just another project that was under Koizumi. Once Koizumi died and the faction has declined, they decided to metaphorically go to his room and then just destroy everything, including the Hinamizawa syndrome. It didn't matter to them.
ここで一度話を折ります。高野さんにとっての研究の目的は何ですか？
え？それは研究者としての知的な好奇心から。
So in the end, it's not just because, well, there's also that it's because, oh, Japan doesn't need like research into military stuff for the sake of, you know, power and all that, for the power of the glory days and all that, and we would rather keep it quiet without upsetting neighbors. It won't be just that. It's simply because the project belonged to Koizumi that it was of no interest to anybody.
あなたが祖父と呼び敬愛していた高野先生との約束ではないのですか？
No, that's surprising. Koizumi-sensei once told me that this fact could become a hindrance, so I've never told any of my clients about it. How did she find out? If they know that, maybe they know a lot more about us than I think. Yeah, truly, like, who are you?
どこでそれを知ったんですか？
Are you related to Hifumi in any way?
小泉先生からです。え？私たちはあなたの敵ではありません。どうかお楽になさってください。
I don't know who she really is, but I know she's here because she wants something from me. So what is it that she wants? Also, going back to how I'm thinking this is Yukari Tamura, like the VA, go figure. Like, Takano here is gonna get like new help from this woman who is voiced by Yukari Tamura, who is basically the voice of the character that she's in opposition throughout the entire story, which will be Rika. And go figure. She knows about the relationship between my grandfather and me, so I can't be careless.
ただ、私たちがあなたの力になるには、あなたに本当のことを話していただかなくてはなりません。
おっしゃる意味がわかりません。
高野さんがひなみざわ症候群を研究する本当の目的は何ですか？
To have my grandfather's masterpiece acknowledged for what it is, and to have him become a god. I mean, understandably coming from you, Takano, in your mind, you know, you wouldn't say that out loud to other people though, cause that would make you crazy. Well, that will make you look crazy, you know.
高野先生の研究を世間に認めさせること。あなたの祖父が心を込めて書き上げた論文を踏みつけてないがしろにしたことへの復讐ではありませんか？
Sounds about right. I'm reaching the limit of not letting my surprise show on my face. How much does this woman know about me? In the first place, who is she? How does she know everything I'm thinking? I'm thinking that she's related to Hifumi. Because someone related to Hifumi would know how Hifumi felt in his last years, in similar fashion to Takano right over here. I can't admit that out loud, in any case. I have peers to consider. But while this elegant woman was wearing an angelic smile, she laughed with the devil's seductive whisper, several times better at it than I am. Simple smile and devilish grin are completely different. An ordinary smile means goodwill, but a malicious smirk means the complete opposite. I mean, duh. This woman can read my deepest thoughts. And while doing so, she's testing me to see how honest I can be with her. Whether I tell her the truth or not isn't the issue here. She's testing me to see if I can trust her enough to confess everything.
もしも私の言っていることが全くの勘違いでしたら、どうかお許しください。お好きな駅までお送りさせます。このでも、もし私の言っていることがあなたの本当の気持ちに少しでも近いのでしたら、私とあなたは力を貸し合える関係になれると思います。どうですか、高野美代さん。
I can't say anything in reply, but I think that simply remaining silent might also be an answer. I want to hear what she wants from me. I've always phrased my objective as some vague idea of turning my grandfather into a god, but she's just taught me what my true objective is. I want to get revenge for my grandfather's suffering. Yeah. It is, as I discussed before, power. That's what Takano wanted. For all the times that she has been tormented during childhood with the hospital incident, for her parents dying, for Hifumi dying, life has not been kind to Takano. She was literally screaming to gods why she had to go through this. And she hates that. So she wants that kind of power to be on the opposite side, to bully people. I mean, that's you kind of see that in how she likes to scare kids like Keiichi and Shion and all that stuff, and basically destroy the village because she has that power. I mean, I make it sound easy, in which case I apologize, but there is that side to Takano, even if she doesn't want to admit it. I want those people to fight over the right to read the article they once trampled on and mocked. I want them to believe, no, to worship every single word my grandfather left behind. That is my true objective. This woman has stated out loud that which I have only whispered within myself. She even asked me if she was correct. Is this woman an angel or a devil? If I'm human, is she in existence above me?
あなたの不幸は自分の目的を具体的に理解していなかったことなのです。だからいつまでも惰性で研究を続けても至れない。Hinamizawa症候群の神秘を探るという抽象的な目的を掲げ、いつまでも達成できず、自らの人生に疑問を抱かざるを得なかったのです。